World War I, a cataclysmic event that forever altered the course of history. A conflict that involved many of the world's great powers, leaving a profound impact on societies, economies, and politics worldwide. Today we explore the causes, consequences, and far-reaching impact of the First World War, a war that shaped the modern world in ways we're still experiencing today. To understand the causes of World War I, we need to look at a complex web of political alliances, rising nationalism, imperialism, militarism, and a delicate balance of power that fractured on the eve of war. In the early 20th century, Europe was a continent on edge. The Industrial Revolution had transformed economies, but also heightened competition between nations. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, by a Serbian nationalist was the spark that ignited the war. However, it was the underlying causes that made this assassination such a devastating trigger. First, we have militarism, a belief that a strong military was essential for national security. European powers began building up their armies, competing for dominance. This arms race set the stage for an eventual conflict. Next, alliances. By 1914, Europe was divided into two major alliance systems: the Triple Entente, which included France, Russia, and Great Britain, and the Triple Alliance, consisting of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These alliances meant that if one country was attacked, others would be pulled into the conflict. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was the trigger, but Austria-Hungary's decision to declare war on Serbia, backed by Germany, pulled Russia into the conflict. This led to the involvement of France, Great Britain, and eventually many other nations, escalating a regional conflict into a world war. When the guns finally fell silent in November 1918, the world was left in shock. The war had lasted over 4 years, involved 30 countries, and led to the deaths of over 16 million people. But the toll of World War I wasn't just measured in lives lost. It was also felt in the social, economic, and political aftermath. One of the most significant consequences of the war was the Treaty of Versailles. Signed in 1919, this treaty officially ended the war but imposed heavy penalties on Germany. The country was forced to pay enormous reparations, give up territory, and accept full blame for the war. This harsh treatment of Germany sowed the seeds of resentment, eventually contributing to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the outbreak of World War II. The economic consequences were just as devastating. Many European economies were in ruins, and the war had severely weakened the global economy. The global trade system was disrupted, and many countries faced inflation and poverty. The war also led to the collapse of empires, with the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, and German empires all crumbling. This reshaped the map of Europe and the Middle East. New countries like Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and Poland emerged, while the borders of others were redrawn. The Russian Empire gave way to the Soviet Union, which would have profound implications for the 20th century. While the immediate consequences of World War I were felt in Europe, its impact reverberated across the globe, shaping the course of world history in ways that can still be seen today. One of the most significant long-term impacts was the rise of new ideologies. The collapse of empires created a power vacuum, leading to the rise of communism in Russia. The 1917 Russian Revolution saw the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, overthrow the Tsarist regime and establish the Soviet Union, which would go on to become a major player in global politics. World War I also fueled nationalist and anti-colonial movements across the globe. In Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, the war exposed the hypocrisy of European colonialism. Many colonized people had fought for their European rulers and were now demanding greater rights and independence. This would eventually lead to a wave of decolonization in the decades that followed. The war also led to the creation of the League of Nations in an attempt to prevent future conflicts. Though ultimately ineffective, the League laid the groundwork for the United Nations, which was founded in 1945 after the Second World War, with the hope of maintaining global peace and cooperation. Economically, World War I led to the rise of the United States as a global power. While Europe was reeling from the war, the U.S. economy boomed. This shift in global power dynamics set the stage for the conflicts of the 20th century, particularly the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Lastly, the war set in motion the chain of events that would lead to the rise of totalitarian regimes, the spread of fascism, and eventually the outbreak of World War II. The interwar period was marked by political instability, economic crises, and the spread of ideologies that promised to resolve the problems created by World War I. Conclusion. The First World War was more than just a military conflict. It was a transformative event that reshaped borders, economies, and societies. Its causes were deep-rooted in the geopolitics of the time, and its consequences are still being felt today. Whether through the rise of new ideologies, the redrawing of global boundaries, or the lessons learned from the devastation it caused, World War I is a reminder of the profound impact a single conflict can have on the course of history. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on world history. Let's continue to explore the events that shape the world we live in today.